9:38 on your Monday on The Big Picture. Thanks so much for sticking with us throughout the hour. Right now we are joined by Franklin County Administrator Kenneth Wilson, along with the county's Chief of Economic Innovation and Development, Ruchelle Pride. Thanks so much for coming in. We are talking about the county's housing action plan. And this is, we've seen Franklin County grow. I mean, we're at, because what? Just Columbus is approaching 1 million. The county itself has more than that at this point. Yes. We're seeing massive amounts of growth. We have to have places to put all these people. So when it comes to this housing action plan, what is really the plan behind it? What is Franklin County intending to do with it?
As you noted, Franklin County is a growing community of 1.4 million residents and growing. And housing is a key economic development issue. Housing supports individuals, jobs are linked to housing. General well-being is linked to housing. Housing is a key to everything within this community. So we wanted an action plan that was focused on supporting renters, when given the number of colleges and universities that we have, and young families that are renters. And we want to also in this plan expand home ownership so that individuals are able to, when the time is right, to gain equity, because that's another key plank of housing. Housing is one of the first ways that families can build equity and wealth.
And we mentioned that because to buy a house in Franklin County is incredibly expensive right now. I mean, you're looking at $350,000 plus. It's, for a lot of people, out of reach. How does this plan intend to address that?
Well, thank you for that. What we recognize through this plan is that housing and wages go together. We understand that housing isn't just about supply, it's about the demand that is also necessary for individuals to be able to earn and be able to then sustain themselves. And so what we plan to do as a part of this effort is also focusing in on economic mobility, true economic mobility strategies that will ensure that the wages that people are earning are livable wages based on market conditions, based on market rates. What we also understand is that employers need workers, and workers need a place to live. It's that simple. And so we're talking about basic social determinants of health. And we know that, of course, housing is the foundation, but of course, for us to be able to sustain it, we have to make sure that people are accessing the wages that are necessary and needed.
I'm reading here, your plan has actionable steps and measurable metrics. I think that's pretty important because I think about my life 5 years ago, and sure, maybe if maybe I'd be able to buy a house now if everything stayed the same as it was, but I imagine 5 years from now, it's going to be totally different. So how important is it? How will things adjust to fit that growth?
Absolutely. And so this is a working plan, and it's, again, an action plan for a reason. These are going to be steps that we know that there's going to be some trends that change and some needs that develop, but we want to be able to stay ahead of the curve rather than behind, and making sure that we're meeting the mark based on what we know the data is telling us about our community. And most importantly, listening to our residents and those who are impacted by this housing conundrum that we're in. There are so many stakeholders across the continuum that helped us develop this plan, from our residents to our developers to those who are investing in this space. And we want to make sure that as we go forward through collective impact, that we go forward together in that vein, so that way we're hitting all of the cylinders as we move forward.
And, one thing that is kind of unique about this housing action plan is that it's also engaging employers rather than, we typically talk about investors, developers, but this also includes employers. How are we engaging those folks in this conversation?
Well, we are going to have employers when they look at site selection, they look at the availability of safe, affordable housing. So we are going to be at the table with prospective employers, and they will see, because that's why we're happy to be here today, highly publicize this plan, and it will be a living, breathing action plan. At Franklin County, doing things is in our DNA. We don't like to just sit and look at reports. We want to take action.
Yes.
We want to, be able to go to employers and say, in the last 2 years, we've created X number of units of housing. Within 5 years, this is our goal. Come to Franklin County, make it a home, and you can be a part of this. Because we need mixed income housing. We need density. We need people to change their mindset about living close to each other. You talk about the missing middle, where you talk about townhouses and duplexes. Duplexes are a great way. We talked about building generational wealth. You can live in one side and lease out the other side, and in effect build double equity in your sleep.
Yeah.
That's one of the beauties of home ownership, why everyone should aspire for it, because it is truly a way where you're gaining equity without the sweat of daily working. Your property itself gains equity.
And you bring up townhouses. I live in one that was built in that post-war boom when Columbus expanded immensely, but current codes, up until recently, don't really allow for that kind of development. I mean, Columbus is taking a look at that, but is that also something that Franklin County is encouraging other municipalities to take a look at, whether that be Hilliard, Grandview Heights, Upper Arlington, to go, maybe we start allowing this again?
Absolutely. And I think that goes back to this being a living, breathing document, as our county administrator stated, because we understand that policy change and regulatory changes are going to need to move with us, right? There are some things that have just been historically restricted or a little bit more challenging to achieve. And so as a part of this plan, we want to be the voice in that, because this is truly a multi-generational approach, right? We're looking at not just low to moderate income families, we're looking at our young professionals, our seniors, our first responders, our teachers. There are so many people that are mixed into why we have to move all of the pieces of the puzzle in order for this truly to be successful and us to see the results that we want to see by 2030.
So going back to the conversation that you guys are having with employers, is it fair just to kind of put this in a summary aspect so people understand that you're having these conversations with employers? You're going, hey, we're building this. This is how much it's going to cost. Do you have jobs that will support this type of living, this type of life?
Yes.
Is that the type of?
Yes, it's the type of conversation of really helping them understand our landscape, right? Okay. If you're bringing in any type of employment opportunities, we want you to be clear on what Franklin County has to offer, but also what Franklin County needs from you, right? How can we do this as that partnership that comes together to truly make sure that all goals that we want to see are achieved for the residents and those who, of course, they need as their workers, right? We got to kind of give and take in that regard. And so that's exactly what it's awareness, it's knowledge, educating them on, again, where we are, who we are, but what we need from them.
I think also so many people, they move to the area and they might think they know how much, something costs, and then they get there and, they're finding that things might be a little more. I mean, it happened to me when I moved here, and I live in Ohio, so I was able to drive up and kind of drive around and see what, I could kind of wiggle with. And now, but not everyone has that, luxury, I guess, to just drive here and check it out. So that's encouraging, I guess, that you're having those conversations.
And when it comes to, visual impacts of this, because people are going to, kind of want, what can I see? What is tangible of this? Where, in the county can you already see the effects of something like this?
I'm glad you asked that question. The other thing that we've been doing as a county, while this plan was being conceived, we were still working with willing, affordable housing developers to create housing. Go no further than just outside of I-670, and you see the former Sawyer Towers.
Yes.
That will be the largest, upon its completion, it will be one of 3 projects that will bring over almost 1,300 units of affordable housing to Franklin County. High quality, sustainable, and safe housing.
Yes.
And we have various other projects that has been approved by the Franklin County Board of Commissioners over the last several years from our conveyance fee receipts. So when we talk about, going back to the business community piece, Chief Pride will be having ongoing constant conversations with organizations such as the Columbus Chamber of Commerce and the Columbus Partnership that makes up over 80 plus of the area CEOs. They will be partners in watching this plan as far as the implementation and as adjustments have to be made to this plan to meet the needs of the overall economy here in Central Ohio.
Right, and I think another unique factor of this that factors in is the close working partnership with the land trust or the land bank. That is, because they have a really unique approach to home ownership and using some lots that otherwise have not been utilized.
Yeah. And so we wanted to, again, make sure that this was a plan that was inclusive as possible of all of the mechanics that we currently have that we can scale, right? And then being able to develop new from that. So a lot of this is going to be taking that existing land that's publicly owned that we know we can make some movement with, while also understanding the importance of preservation. So to our point about the Sawyer Towers project and other scattered sites that we're looking to rehab and preserve into making it into new affordable housing, the land bank will very much be walking with us along this path, so that way we can make sure that anything that we currently have available to us is being actualized and realized to its maximum capacity. And that is the goal. That is the goal, to really just take stock in what we are doing, what we do have available to us, while developing, creating more innovation around what we need.
All right. Kenneth Wilson and Ruchelle Pride, thanks so much for joining us here on The Big Picture. Great to find out more about that project, and look forward to seeing how it progresses throughout the years.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.